I've got to say, this episode really felt a whole lot like the original Game of Thrones, from like the action, from the politics, to the plotting that's constantly going on. And I mean, even King Viserys is like, okay, I'm tired of the politics. Let's talk about something else, please. But before we get into any of that, we have a 2-year time jump here, which is a lot longer than the 6 months from between episodes 1 and 2. That certainly took me for a little bit of a loop. That's not to say that it's not believable. I think that this show is kind of creating its own kind of unique pace, and I'm fine with it. I really think the story is still like tight knit, it's coherent, and it's honestly really refreshing to have the filmmakers kind of like make us realize like, okay, so this is kind of what happened between that time period. It makes me, the viewer, feel like that much more appreciative. Like, thank you for allowing me to realize and piece together like what happened between all this time. That's what I really love about shows like this, because they really do make you think about like what's going on, and you, the viewer, you just are so satisfied with like, okay, yeah, I'm paying enough attention, I know what's going on, and everything just seems to be fitting into place. So the episode starts out with Daemon crushing one of his followers by, stepping on him with a dragon. And so through that scene, we come to find out that Daemon and Corlys, they're really losing the war that they started. Meanwhile, back at King's Landing, everyone's like, hey, King, something's going on in the Stepstones. I think you should really take a look at it. And the King's like, not now, I'm celebrating my son's second name day, so just get out of here, peasant. Whew, King Viserys, man, I sometimes I just don't know how to feel about him, and like if what he's saying is true, and if what he said this episode is true. I mean, I like him a whole lot more because he's like saying to Rhaenyra, hey, I don't know why you're acting this way, because you are the legitimate successor to me. You are going to be sitting on the Iron Throne. And he tells her this like to her face at the very end of the episode. I was just like, yes, Viserys, thank you for being such a wonderful, wonderful character. I personally love really dynamic characters who are flawed. That's not to say that Daemon probably isn't the most flawed character throughout this whole show, and we'll get to that. Backing it up a little, the king is now celebrating his son's second name day with a hunt, and they're like, oh hey, there is this white deer somewhere in the Kingswood that you can go and hunt down. Everyone's just super badgering the king like, oh my gosh, what a amazing day. This means this means that. Your son is gonna rule in the Iron Throne because of this hunt that's going on. Like, these characters cannot stop and breathe without actually playing the Game of Thrones. That's all they can do. And even the king is like, guys, stop with the politics. Stop with all like the mystical voodoo messages. Let me just celebrate my family. I'm the king. You guys should just be celebrating the fact that my son is here. It's his birthday, or I guess his name day. The king seems really, really chill, and everyone else is like, oh, you're such a bad king, but he's just a really chill, like dynamic individual dude who's just all about family. And like, you can tell that he's really remorseful about what happened with his wife. He never wanted to get remarried. He never really saw any of this happening. And that's something that I can really connect with. I never saw myself in a lot of situations in life, but I had to endure and go through those. So yeah, I really like Viserys as a character now. He's almost there with Rhaenyra. He's like almost there. I don't know, maybe he is there. Speaking of the king, he's lost, his pinky finger and his, what finger is this? This is the ring finger. He lost both fingers. Did you guys see that? And they were both like little nubs with like little like shard kind of bits of skin at the end of each one. And wonder what the dude's back looks like. Does he have a spine? What's going on there? Meanwhile, the star of the show, Rhaenyra, is kind of having an identity crisis, being used as a pawn, and she gets almost shipped off with Jason Lannister. I heard 2 Lannister names. I want to say it's Jason Lannister, which, by the way, House Lannister, hands down, best house, Game of Thrones. Probably gonna get a lot of heat for that, but meanwhile, Rhaenyra is just up to here with it. Like, no, I'm not marrying Jason Lannister. That's not happening. Fools, I'm the Queen of Westeros and I'm gonna sit on the Iron Throne. Those are Rhaenyra's goals. Those were promised to her. But not only that, she is also kind of working her way up to that position, and she's really showing it by coming back. She came back like all bloodied up, and everyone's like, whoa, what? Like, all eyes were on Rhaenyra, and that is just so cool. Rhaenyra is a big scene stealer. Like, yeah, yeah, Rhaenyra is definitely the diva of the entire show. Speaking of diva Rhaenyra, her outfits are just so on point. I absolutely loved her outfit, like the red kind of accent underneath her like gray kind of dragon, I guess it's like a tunic. Either way, she hands down has like the best costume in the entire show. Jason Lannister's like, it would be my honor to wed your daughter. I can provide power. And the king's like, motherfucker, you think we need power? And yeah, this scene really shapes like the stepping stones of like how the king sees his daughter to be his successor. So it's just a really sweet and endearing scene because we got to see Viserys's like kind of reaction to Rhaenyra and how people are really plotting almost against Rhaenyra to not become the queen, but they're all kind of plotting for Aemon. By the way, his new son's name is Aemon, of course. So over the course of these past 2 years, I think that you can really tell that Rhaenyra is facing a lot of issues going on, and I think that ultimately she is just really lonely as a person. And considering she doesn't have her best friend in her life anymore, she's too busy being with the king, reproducing babies. That's awkward to say. Thankfully, Rhaenyra has the hunk of a man, Sir Criston Cole, always protecting her from all the wild boars. Sir Criston Cole. He really reminds me a lot of Jon Snow, and I don't know why. Does anyone else think that? He gives me Jon Snow vibes. I hope that we see more of him. I hope he just doesn't die as like a one-off character. I think he can die eventually. I want to see more of him. I want to see more of him and Rhaenyra and see like what their friendship is like. So by the end of the hunt, they come to find, so this is not the deer we're looking for. It's just like a normal kind of brown deer. So the king ends up killing the deer, and it was the most probably, that was the hardest scene for me to get through. There was some kind of like parallel between the brown deer that he killed and the white deer that Rhaenyra ended up seeing, because everyone's like, yeah, if you kill the white deer to the king, then that means your son, Aemon, will become the king. But then because Rhaenyra saw the white deer instead, does that mean that she will become queen? Like, is it some kind of like parallel thing that's going on? Or did it just go like way over my head? I don't know. What did you guys think of that scene? That's kind of just how I saw it, as like Rhaenyra being the more special one in the situation. So nearing like the end of the episode, we go back to King's Landing, and the king, Viserys, he's just kind of like in his quarters. He's like, am I doing the right thing? Does this make sense? Did I just do this to spite Daemon? Blah, blah, blah. And he's kind of just chit-chatting with his wife, who, you know, is a part of the Game of Thrones, and it's kind of like her father's underling. Speaking of his wife, Alicent, I think that there really needs to be a little bit more character development there, other than she's like the more kind of naive, nice person who plays as the pawn, and like, what is her angle? I don't know. I need to see more of Alicent Hightower. I feel like she could be a lot more interesting as a character, more so than what she has been so far. And I don't really know why, but she really gave me like Catelyn Stark vibes this episode. I don't know. I think that was just kind of like the general vibe that I was picking up from her character. So everyone's kind of getting together by the end of the episode, and they're like, hey, look, are you gonna do something about the Stepstones or not? And the king is like, well, I guess Daemon is my brother, so I'll do something. And it like just connected with me. Alicent Hightower, she was like, okay, well, think about it simply. Would it be best if the crab feeder was still around in Westeros? She was kind of the mastermind to getting that whole plot thread started. And so Viserys ends up sending a letter to Daemon saying, hey, bro, I know that you're kind of losing the battle, but I'm going to be sending you 2,000 men and a lot of ships, and we're going to help you out, buddy. And then we get Daemon's reaction. Holy what was going on there? Like, what? I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. I know why he did it. He doesn't want to be bailed out by his brother. He wants to do this on his own with his own power. And so he's just like slamming heads. He's kicking tables over. He's committing war crimes to get this done. So Daemon takes a raft to Prince Drahar. He's the crab king, or the crab feeder king dude. Either way, doesn't really matter. His character is more of a purpose, a stepping stone for Daemon to kind of grow as a character and kind of really enhance the plot, because what happens after that is Daemon goes, commits a freaking war crime, basically waving the white flag saying, hey, we surrender, we're good, here's my sword. And then he runs after Prince Drahar with his sword. He's just like slashing up all his goons left and right, dodging literally all of these arrows. Granted, he got hit like once or twice. Dude put up a really good fight. And so I really have to give the filmmakers a lot lot of credit here for credit well deserved. I mean, the filmmaking was so amazing here in the final scene, the battle of the episode. It really felt like you were there in a war, and the filmmaking really made you feel like the situation was helpless, but Daemon did have a plan, a weird all or nothing plan, a scorched literal earth plan to kill Prince Drehard. And he cuts the crab feeder guy in half. His guts are spilling out and he's like, yeah, I did this. And that shot of him walking out of the cave, dragging his half of the body, and the dragon kind of like behind like the mist, the clouds. The composition was, it was beautiful. What is that? 2 episodes in a row where I just get straight up chills. Like this is good. I'm enjoying this. This is a really good TV show. House of the Dragon, season 1, episode 3. I thought it was really well done. It really felt like an episode straight out of Game of Thrones season 2, probably, I would have to say. And so with all of that said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching this weekly review recap kind of series I'm currently doing. I just love talking about this TV show. If you guys end up liking the video, I highly recommend leaving a like and also leaving a comment down below. Those really help out with the channel. And also if you guys wanna see more content from me, I'm gonna be doing this every single week. To see those and to see like other content on my channel, I highly recommend subscribing, turning on the notification bell. We're gonna be making content for a long time to come, so it's gonna be super fun. We are trying to reach a goal of aiming for 500 subscribers by the end of 2022. So if you guys wanna help out and support the channel, I really recommend subscribing. And so yeah, with that said, I'm looking forward to episode 4 and I will see you guys next week.